the start of what is now a wonderful organization that serves thousands of people. The Houston Area Women's Center was started in that office. And we also politicized women. We talked about politics. We talked about the need, and particularly with the help of City Council, who was trying to throw me out of office, the need for having women elected in office who couldn't be bounced out because you got under somebody's skin. And then something really wonderful happened in 1977. And I was told by the planners that part of the reason that they came to Houston, and Mayor Hawkins alluded to this, was because there was a women's advocate, which was unique throughout the country. Other states and cities had what they call commissions on women and so on and so forth. But the women's advocate was in the mayor's office. It was an official position to do things for women. The Federal Planning Committee for International Women's Year chose Houston, how wonderful, for our city. And each of the 50 states, this was part of an United Nations effort to raise the status of women throughout the world. And so each one of our 50 states had their own individual conferences where they selected delegates to come to the International Women's Conference in Houston. And I was fortunate to be one of those delegates. Sylvia was another one of those delegates. And suddenly, rather than just having what seemed like sand being kicked in our face on a fairly regular basis, here we were in the center of things. And it was a thrill. It was funded by the federal government. That in itself in these days is so absolutely astonishing. You know, here we are talking about how we've moved ahead, and when we think now about Congress funding an International Women's Conference, you think, oh, this, no way. We had some of the most famous women in the country here, women who most of us in Houston had only heard about, never met before, but we met. We were on the floor with them, we talked to them, we got to know them, we expanded plans, we hung out together. We had elected leaders, we had grassroots organizers, we also had opponents, and they had their say. They felt that they had all the rights they ever wanted and needed. Thank you very much. And any more would have simply reduced their illustrious status in their lives, but we made them pay the price. We had first ladies. We had United Nations officials here. The whole experience of this really broadened our outlook, and I'll say particularly mine, I suppose, but I think all of us. There was this amazing diversity of women, and in the course of planning this, and there was an enormous amount of planning, and it was done, although it was funded through the federal government, getting all these people together was not inexpensive. And so we had to address differences, misunderstandings, things that had kept us apart: race, religion, ethnicity, social class, sexual orientation. And so it forced us out of our comfort zones. We made new friends that stayed together for life. We planned things together. And it went beyond just us in this country. There were conferences throughout the world. And we learned about the experiences that women in other countries were going through, things they had to fight, things that we didn't even imagine in this country. Many thousands of women from this country went to these other conferences, and we learned, we talked, we shared ideas. And in Beijing, the last big international women's conference, we still see the footage of Hillary Clinton up there saying those wonderful words, human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. And again, giving us a bigger, broader, more comprehensive perspective of things. My years as the women's advocate, my time as a delegate of the International Women's Year was thrilling, eye-opening, energizing. I feel so fortunate to have been a part of it. I feel so fortunate at this age to look back and say, you know, I really had a little part in history here, and that was so neat. And in many ways, the Houston Area Women's Center was a spin-off of this, of the activity, of the excitement, of the drive to, hey, we were going to do something. We felt we could do something. And Mayor Parker, I want to thank you again for being here, for doing what you've done, for including me in this, and for recognizing this really special time for women's rights. Thank you.